Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Will the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Wednesday, July 12th, 2017, please come to order? I'd like to start tonight by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd like to, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, for the benefit of those who may not have participated in a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, our procedures are as follows. 1, we will read the legal call to the meeting as published in local newspapers. 2, the applicant will be invited to come forward and present the case, explaining to the Commission and others present what is being requested of the property. Comments of town agencies will be read for each application, if there are any. There will be clarifying questions from the Commissioners, then there will be an opportunity for clarifying questions from the audience. First, those who wish to support the application may come forward, and second, those who oppose the application will be invited to come forward and express their opinion. As this is a public hearing and must be recorded, it's necessary for all speakers to identify themselves and state their name and address before addressing the Commission. The applicant is then free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearing and the regular meeting, at which time the Commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing to the decision of the Commission and has a right to appeal Superior Court if desired. Decisions of the meeting are available the day after the meeting by calling the Planning and Zoning Office at 203-453-8039 after 9 a.m. Seated this evening are the following members. We have Phil Johnson, we have Rich Meyer, Josh Hirschman, I'm Frank DeAndrea, we have Dick Wallace, Tom Cost, and Alan Brown. The staff present tonight are George Kroll and Lisa Brewer. The videographer this evening is Peter Schultz. So the secretary will now read the legal notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on July 12, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. at the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, in the Monunketuk Room on the second floor for the following purposes. Diane Auger, 5051 Durham Road, map 129, lot 1, zone R8, special permit to allow for sale and processing of organic topsoil. Renew special permit granted on 2/1/2012 with conditions of approval, Article 7. Derek Streeter, 48 Moose Hill Road, map 19, lot 3, zone R5, special permit for a 651 square foot accessory apartment in an existing detached two-car garage, section 273-19. Copies of these applications are available for inspection in the office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Hall South, 50 Boston Street, Guilford, Connecticut. At this hearing, persons may attend and be heard, and written communication will be received. Dated Guilford, Connecticut, this 20th day of June, 2017. Frank DeAndrea, Chairman.
Thank you. A couple things for the audience. One, the 66 High Street has been withdrawn, so if anybody is there for that, it was rescheduled for August 2nd, which will be noticed. So if you're here for that, you don't need to stay. And also, if you're here for the wetlands meeting, which was scheduled the same time as ours, it's across the hall. So those were the two announcements I have. I'd also just like to take a minute before we dive into the agenda to wish George Kroll, our town planner, a very happy birthday. Yeah. Happy birthday, George.
Aren't you going to sing happy birthday?
Maybe after the meeting.
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear George. Happy birthday to you. Yay.
So we're going to go with Diane Auger. Would you like to come up and just name and address and what is going on? Name and address first for the record, please.
What was that?
Name and address for the record.
Diane Auger, 5051 Durham Road. I just want to renew the permit that's already been on there. So they told me how to do it, and that's why I'm here. So
there's a letter in the record from Dennis Johnson that I'm going to read. It's dated today, and it says that renewal of the applicant's proposed topsoil processing operation will not negatively impact upon the septic or well water system currently existing on site. It is recommended that the applicant's proposed special permit be renewed. And then there's also a letter on dated today from Kevin McGee. He's the environmental planner for the town. And it says that the applicant is looking to renew a special permit application for the sale and processing of organic topsoil originally approved by the commission in on April 21st, 2004, with conditions. Stormwater from the topsoil piles drains towards a wetland area that discharges to the Conococheague River, which has been classified by the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection as an impaired waterway due to high bacteria. On May 14, 2008, the Inland Wetlands Commission approved a regulated activity to reconstruct stormwater retention berm, construct drainage basin, and level spreader as shown on existing conditions plan with proposed composting site plan dated April 8, 2008 by Criscolo Engineers. The Inland Wetlands Commission can be extended to April 8, 2018. Review of recent 2016 aerial photographs shows that the berm area and vegetation on the soil piles have been damaged by vehicle traffic on or around the compost piles. The previous conditions of approval should be modified to include a condition that any damaged drainage improvements shown on the Criscolo Engineering LLC Drainage Improvement Plan, Sheet 2 of 3, dated April 8, 2008, be repaired and maintained in accordance to the approved plans. Did anyone have a conversation with you about this? Do you know anything about this?
No.
Okay. So fortunately, we have another meeting. We have to have a second hearing on this?
It says so in the letter.
Yeah, it
too.
says so in the letter. So I'm going to give you this packet of information, and you should contact the environmental planner, Kevin McGee, and ask him what he wants you to do, and see if you have any problems with that. And if you don't have any problems with that, come back next time, and we'll be able to make sure
When's next time?
next time.
19th.
Actually, it's the next week. Unless you want us to continue, if you need more time, we could continue it to the
Why don't we
August.
just contact him and find out what he thinks has to
Well,
be done?
and make sure you're okay with it,
Oh,
okay?
Looking for him?
I know, you guys are all over that.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right?
alrighty.
Good luck.
So when he's saying damaged improvements, he means like along the side, like there were certain drainage structures that might have been damaged by the trucks going in and out?
So, but I'm sure, like.
Kevin will have a
He'll
much
probably
better
be able to
idea.
tell her exactly. Yeah, and if you need more time, you could always ask to be continued to the following meeting as well. Okay?
So is there any other questions from commissioners? Okay. Anybody from the public like to ask a question? Yes, please state your name and address, please.
Dino Esposito, 803 Totucket Road, Northford. I got a few questions because this permit was originally issued in my name, and I want to know how it got into her name.
Does it run with the property?
Excuse me?
Does the permit run with the property?
Did you own 5031? 5051 in 2004?
Yes.
When did you sell this lot?
We didn't sell it. I quitclaimed it to her when we got divorced.
You quit claimed it to her.
Yes.
So,
This is not relevant.
so you think that, you think that the special permit was for you personally as opposed for the property?
Yes.
Can I take?
This is a zoning commission. We handle properties.
Okay, but I own the property.
So you should probably contact an attorney.
No.
Yeah.
This is a public hearing. I own the property in 2012 when you issued her the permit. So I want to know, how did that happen?
The permits go with the property, they don't go with the property owner.
I understand that.
So
But in
whoever the-
2012, when you issued her the permit, I owned the property. How did it get in her name?
Is she now the current owner of the property?
Now she is.
Oh, that, got it. Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Come on up here again.
Sorry.
I went to, Reggie Reed, and I had asked her about getting the permit put in my name. She says it goes with the property. So when it was, I don't know what the dates are, but it was after I got the land in my name. So all I'm doing is renewing this permit for another 4 or 5 years, whatever.
It's in your name now.
Yes.
All right. So listen, all due respect, guys, we have an application in front of us now. This is not a zoning matter right now. It went with the land, so I would definitely suggest contacting the attorney, because there's really nothing we can do. Okay. I'm gonna move to close the public hearing.
Excuse me, in 2012, I owned the property solely. So even if it went with the property, she had no right to put it in her name. You can't go put a permit in somebody's name that doesn't have the property or own the property or have permission from the property owner to do it. I can't go and get a permit on somebody else's property that I don't own.
This is probably not an issue that the commission really has the expertise to adjudicate. It sounds like something that a court might have to adjudicate, if at all. Excuse me, let me continue. But since we have another hearing, we can ask our counsel to advise us as to what we should do, and that information would then be available at the next public hearing.
So why don't we push the next public meeting anyway, because I don't think we're going to be able to get...
Okay. I still have a few things to say, because
If it's going to be to the application itself, that's fine, because we are a land use commission, right? Okay, then
It's about
then
it,
you can
because-
then you can ask your question.
Okay. This over here, I got these copies. It says, and I highlighted it, and I have more copies here. Okay, it's dated, where's the date?
I got it right here.
Okay, and it says, owner of record, okay? She has Diane Auger Esposito. First of all, that was never her legal name, so that makes the application fraudulent, which makes the permit fraudulent. Number two, it says owner. She was not the owner. I was the sole owner, which makes the application fraudulent, which makes the permit fraudulent.
So
And
she's asking for a permit now.
No, but, okay, then she has to start all over from the beginning,
But
because this permit is
that's what
fraudulent.
This,
No, she's asking for a renewal, you can't do that.
This
And
is
we
a-
already went through this with an NRCS permit that she got 2 years ago, and we went through it, and they said she was not the owner, she
sir,
can't do it.
as a member of this commission, I'm going to speak now. This is a special permit application. Our process does not significantly vary between a renewal and a first time. So what we're looking at here, what we're reviewing here is whether or not this property should have a special permit for this use.
Well, you know what, we need to get the town attorney, because you guys are gonna find out you're wrong. She did this fraudulently, which makes the permit that she had
So,
fraudulent.
that's a matter for you to discuss with your own
The town
attorney.
So what I'm gonna do, just like the last time, I'm gonna contact the first selectman, and I did it last time, and we're
Right.
gonna go through him, and you're gonna find out that you guys are wrong. This is fraud, what she did. She
Well,
can't-
if the first selectman would
Okay,
like to
let me
come
ask
and
you a
speak
question.
on this, he
If
certainly
this
is
gentleman has
allowed
a
to.
permit on his property to do something, I can go see Reggie Reed and say, Mr. Johnson has a permit to do so-and-so, I wanna do it now,
Sir,
and put it
first-
in my name.
If you own my property after I leave, then the
Right.
rights
3.5 years later?
the rights granted to you,
3.5
to
years
me.
later?
Hey,
Yes,
we're
the rights
going
granted.
nowhere with this, all right?
I'm gonna
Enough
move
is
to,
enough.
and we're gonna get the town attorney.
Okay, so I'm gonna move that we continue the public hearing
A
to.
second for continual.
We want to do to August? August 2nd. No, August
That's all
2nd.
right, ma'am, we can review it at the second hearing.
This is when
Um,
she gave me the,
Okay.
When do you want your second hearing?
first
Do
meeting in
we need more time?
Yeah, I'd like more
If we're
time.
if we're gonna ask Chuck to...
Well, what are we going to ask Chuck about? Because are we talking about...
Come on,
Sir, I'm sorry, we're gonna close
Well,
this.
that's fine, but you
I
guys
mean,
are
we're
wrong.
gonna continue.
may be wrong, calm down.
this is when she issued me this permit.
Right.
Yeah, we have that in here.
Okay.
Wait, I just have one quick question for you. Is the application that you have an issue with a 2012 application?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how it is that we're going to make any sort of decision on a 2012 application. If you have a problem, but if you have a problem with the 2017 application, then that would be great for you to present information relevant to 2017.
The 2012
Okay.
permit was fraudulent, so you cannot renew a fraudulent permit.
Okay.
And you're going to find out from the attorney that that's true.
Yeah, that might be a good thing to go over with your
And,
counsel.
okay, and my name is still on the mortgage on that property, so I have a legal interest in that property.
So
And
that's-
here's the
So that's
original.
something to go over with your attorney, not.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over it with your attorney.
Yeah, okay,
Here's-
so-
Here's the, it says over here.
Right.
Okay.
No, I got
Owner
it.
of record,
Yeah,
that's my name,
let us,
my name
all
only.
right, let us talk to the attorney. We're going to continue it until I'm going to do the first meeting in August, if that's okay? Okay, all in favor?
August 2nd.
Yes, August 2nd.
What's the date of that going to be?
August 2nd.
August 2nd.
August 2nd?
Yes, sir.
Give everybody time.
Yeah, and we'll have some better answers. All right.
I know. He's going to say.
Review all of those issues. What he's going to probably determine is what interest or authority or jurisdiction you have with regard to the
Exactly.
questions that were raised, if any.
We've had some recent experience where if approval was granted, there's a certain appeal period of time. and
Yeah.
If that isn't,
Yeah, I'd like to get
that's,
all of this.
we'll get that out of
All
Chuck.
that before we really get into that.
And we can give that
Make
to the
everybody-
public as well.
Next one.
Okay, let's move on to Winifred Siebert.
Thank you.
Are we doing these each individually, or could we take these together?
I'm good with it together. I'm good.
Counsel?
They're basically the same concept, aren't they?
It is. Good evening. My name is Robert Hartman. I live at 871 Nut Plains Road. I'm here in my capacity as treasurer of the Guilford Keeping Society, appearing on behalf of Winifred Seifert, the president. We operate the two museums, the Thomas Griswold House at 171 Boston Street and the Medadstone Tavern at 197 Three Mile Course. The nature of the application is to allow us to rent out the properties to other nonprofit civic groups and to individuals who'd like to use them for receptions and the like. I can go over the conditions here. I can read them out unless you don't want me to. They're very quick. I'll do that. The renters must have insurance. Porta potties would be required for all-day events. This is for both properties. Events would take place during the warmer months. Background music would be allowed, but with no amplification. We envision that requests to use the outside grounds would happen only on weekends. All events must be finished by 10 p.m. There is ample parking on both premises. And in the case of the Medadstone Tavern, which is the larger of the two properties, we have 2 bathrooms on the ground floor. There are 4 rooms on the ground floor, and the fire department has recommended the following capacities: 120 standing or 70 seated.
And there are 2 letters in here from Dennis for the Director of Health for both properties. They're significantly similar, but they do use different text, so I'll read them both. One is for the 3 Mile Course Road property, and it states, the applicant's proposed septic permit application to rent facilities for private events is compatible with the septic system capacity currently existing on site. And the other one is for the Boston Street property, and it states that the applicant's proposed special permit application to rent field space for outside events does not conflict with the design or location of the septic system currently existing on site. So, I don't know, have you seen these letters? Would you like them? If you would, you can
Be a
take
good
them.
idea. Thanks.
So can I ask a question of you? What, is this not a commercial, increased commercial usage in a residential area?
I suppose there are residential areas, Rich. They're
Are they
they're
zoned?
large properties that sit apart by themselves, as you know.
Yeah.
There's the big field. The nature of the Griswold House thing would be to use the field primarily, and the nature of the Medadstone Tavern, of course, it was set up as a tavern.
Right.
And we have ample parking. We've got the barn. We've got the horse yard. We've got everything. You know, it's to be used for the purpose intended for the property.
Right, and I'm familiar with both of them, been to them many, many times.
Yeah.
My concern is if they're in a residential zone and we're granting a commercial usage, and granted, you know, they were originally, the tavern was designed as a tavern, I get that.
Indeed.
But I don't know if it's grandfathered in. If it wasn't used in commercial purposes all these years, now it's going to be commercial.
This is very analogous. It's
uses are special permit uses, nonprofit facilities, museums and similar are allowed by special permit in residential zones. Both of these properties are in residential zones. The applicant is proposing to use the properties on a lease or rental basis to, as I understand it, not other nonprofit entities, not commercial, not.
But also private people.
And to private individual. This is the same type of application that you considered and heard and approved for the fairgrounds. The scale's a little bit different, the scale of the activities is different, but therein you approved the use of the properties for certain types of purposes. You recall there was a whole lot of debate and discussion about what kind of purposes and so forth. But this is an analogous application. So it's not as if the proposal is to rezone or convert the use, which is a nonprofit facility. The purpose of this application is to allow those nonprofit facilities to rent their premises for certain types of purposes.
So I agree with everything you just said, all of it, every word of it. However, what made me think of this is when we had the problems with the fairgrounds where they were disrespectful to their neighbors, and we finally had to take the extreme move of making them get every single event approved by us, because what started off with, we're going to stop at 10 o'clock, got to be a music festival and some Robin Hood festival that went around the clock for 3 days because we didn't narrow it down enough. So do we have to concern ourselves? I understand this is a different animal. These are historic structures, and this group of people is charged with preserving the historic nature of these.
We're not proposing any different use than we are already using them ourselves. We have beer tastings, wine tastings, we just had a champagne gala, we have tours, we have other receptions, we have large meals, we have hearth cooking lessons, we have all the like. This doesn't call for amplified music, it doesn't call for anything outside of what we're already doing. And I know you're familiar with the properties, and everything is set back off the road. There's no neighborhood to disturb.
Have you ever had complaints by any neighbors?
No, certainly. There's nobody within range, within earshot.
That's good.
My sister had her wedding here. You guys have done several upgrades since then at the Medad Stone Tavern.
We now have proper approved, health department approved bathrooms and the like.
Yeah.
It's a big improvement.
We loved it, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was just concerned about, I know these are historic properties and they're mostly, they're in many ways exempt from these requirements, but the level of ADA compliance at the Medad Stone Tavern and really even more at Griswold, because it's, up the hill. I was trying to figure out how close you guys are to being able to handle people with various needs, especially just simple ambulatory needs.
Yeah, we
like
have
seniors.
a ramp that's been, it's sitting there not quite yet installed, which we will install. We have an approved with the correct grade, 8 inches per, I can't remember what it is, Walter. We have a ramp that will go up in the rear of the Medad Stone Tavern. We anticipate that most functions at the Griswold House will be outdoors in the field, where we have antiques festivals and tag sales and the like. And to be honest, the Griswold House, it's a bunch of tiny little rooms. It doesn't lend itself to a large crowd like the Medad Stone Tavern is. So although it's one application we're sort of asking for, to be honest, it's 2 different purposes we're looking for. We'll have outdoor loos in both cases where needed in any event. Yeah.
What we would try to do is, once the public hearing process is over, assuming you're inclined to approve something, we would try to craft some kind of conditions of approval that would be acceptable to the applicant and also meet whatever objections or concerns are raised during the public hearings, so that we avoid the problem that we ended up having with the fairgrounds when, over a period of time, the intensity of the activity there increased significantly. For many, many years, all they did was the fair, and everybody was happy with that, and over time, there were more and more events. They became larger and larger. and louder, to the extent that eventually some of the residents started to complain about it. So we would try to anticipate the worst case in considering these two properties and write conditions of approval that would then be in the land records as part of the special permit application, that we could then enforce in the future should the events become more intense or more obnoxious or whatever your worst case scenario might be.
So we'll have those for the next hearing?
We'll have those for the next hearing, which is be next week, right? I think we have a pretty good idea what they are. I mean, these facilities, these properties are much smaller in scale. Obviously, we don't have any public interest in this application. Whether we will, subsequently, I don't really know, but.
And one of the main concerns, if I remember from the fairgrounds, was the amplified music. And that's, right away, that's one of the biggest ones that was complained about, so.
The other activity at the fairgrounds was the commercial use by one of the leasees or renters of the property. They basically had a commercial entertainment event, which was not consistent with what you all thought and what most people thought was appropriate. So if, we would try to fashion some kind of control like that on these properties. Also, obviously, they're much smaller in scale, and the fairgrounds, the likelihood of them, blossoming like that is much less, but we'll try to do that.
Mr. Hartman had some conditions here already. Can he just submit them to staff and then we could work that into the approval?
Yeah, we have those in the application pretty much, but if they're in a slightly different form, we'd be happy to look at those also.
There's a hell of a difference between fairgrounds and Judy's property. And it's clearly in our interest to protect and maintain the properties.
Absolutely.
And we have members, unlike we have dues-paying members, and we apply for grants, unlike the fairground, the Ag Society. So it's not intended in any way. This is not a money spinner. This is to grant people access who request it under our conditions, not anybody else's.
These conditions are great. If this is in there, I would vote for this today.
Yeah.
So any other questions from the commissioners today?
I'm good.
You good?
Move it till next Thursday.
I'm still going to ask the audience if anybody would like to ask a question.
Go ahead.
You don't care about that?
No, I mean, this wasn't about that, I just wanted
No, about this. Okay.
That's good, thank you.
See you in a week.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so could I get a motion?
Move to
Continue next Wednesday.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to approve the agenda for the regular meeting.
So Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing, we don't have anything, right, because they're all second
Make a
hearing.
motion to receive 66 High Street for August 2nd.
Second.
And continue to the 16th.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to receive Jason Karan for Guilford Moorings.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Other, we have Skin Stations. Skin Stations was here, weren't they? I thought they were here.
Do we know what they want a 10?
Not sure.
Yeah, they-
To an 8x10 tent in the front parking area, for 40 years
Yeah,
of
for
business
4
on
hours.
Wednesday, October 18th, from 5 to 9.
It's all
And
4
I'd
hours.
like
6
to
months
put this in the
advance.
form of a motion for
Please do.
approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to pay the bills. We have
You do want to pay these?
$747.34 to the Register, and Shore Publishing, $181.30.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes. They appear to be substantially correct. I make a motion to approve them.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One abstention for Tom.
Mr. Chairman, inasmuch as there's no other business before this commission, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? So you absolutely can ask a question as long as it's not related, because
Fastest.